3, live.
You're now watching two old farts making noises.
We're still jamming to the music. That is awesome. Look at this.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a background but me. I'll have to change that next week, I guess. So, but I'm gonna have naked Tahitian girls holding a sign with no snobs or knobs, I think.
Yeah. Well, we had that, Stephen, but we decided, because we're polite, that we wouldn't shock
Okay,
you by doing it.
Okay, well, I'm not, so I will. So we're good. Hey guys, how's everybody doing? So the last couple of shows we've been talking about rugby and sports, and they've been flying off the handle. So today we're just going to talk about Dominatrix and Trump and WeWork and whatever else comes to mind. God, maybe, who knows? I feel like Adam should be here for that. So
Yeah.
just so everybody knows, on the 27th of this month, David and I on Two Old Farts Classics is going to be interviewing a Dominatrix. So I sent a text message to the the No Snobs or Knobs group and asking them if they wanted to interview a Dominatrix on the show, and they were like, 1, what is one? And 2, no. So I was like, okay, so David and I now will do that interview. That'll probably come out the last week of November, the beginning of December. So if you always wanted to know about a Dominatrix, and she has an OnlyFans page. She's a very interesting young lady. She's like, I think 30, and she's been doing this for a while. So she travels all around the world to torture men. So I said, oh, it's like a wife. So there you go. Yeah. So it's very
well.
cool.
I mean, that's reasonably interesting. But what I want to know is,
yes.
What I really want to know is, how did you meet her, Stephen? Are you going to?
I tell
you.
I go to Hilga's house. I go to Hilga's house of pain, and I just said to her one day, listen, you should come on our show, and she's like, great. So there you go. So she's coming on our show.
But she's taking money for
beating up guys. Yes. So it's not really beating. So a dominatrix.
It should have been the other way around.
She should pay me.
If someone is going to beat me, then I want money.
Let me tell you, there's a poem when I like when I was a kid, I used to say it: sticks and stones may break my bones, but whips and chains excite me. So I think that's important that people understand that. And then a friend of mine is a masochist, and I'm more of a sadist. And we were walking down the street one day, and my friend said to me, "Would you beat me?" And I said, "Maybe later." But anyway, so she's very. You have to think through that joke. She's very
Trust me, we don't have to think through that joke.
Thank you very little. She speaks very eloquent, better than us, and she's pretty. And I think it'll be very
like what you do.
Unlike what I do, right? And so I think it'll be interesting for people that wanted to know about BDSM. It's not all about being beaten.
Not interesting.
It's about giving up. It's about giving up control.
How did you meet her? We want to know how you met her, Stephen.
It's a long story. It was many, many years ago. Yeah, I'm telling you, Hilga's House of Pain. They have franchises all over the world. I own Hilga's House of Pain. That's why I know. So she's just one of the girls. But yeah, so she'll go into the whole lifestyle and talk about her OnlyFans page and whatnot. So
she just came back from Poland. Do you think if I ask her that she's going to tell me how she met you then? Or is this
she'll say she will tell you Hilga's House of Pain. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. So I've known her. I've known her for 10 years.
I've known
her for a long time.
I'm sure you met her
at a cocktail party.
Actually, that's true. Did meet her at a cocktail party, and we've just been friends forever. And she.
Was it your cock or your tail that she wanted then?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And then, he's here till Thursday, folks. Tip the wait staff. And we actually met at a friend's party. That's the A part. The B part, I didn't really know what she did, and we started. She sent me something.
You don't walk
a
around with
few
a
months
t-shirt
ago.
on, do you?
Yeah, right. She sent me something a few months ago, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" And I said, "Hey, by the way, we have a YouTube channel." So she's been watching it, and she said to me, "I want to come on and talk about what I do." And I'm like, "Great!" So I started with the girls at Social Intercourse, and they were like, "No, we're too scared," even though all of them are into that kinky stuff, and we have video of it, which we'll show later. And no, they didn't want to do it. This show, I just figured I didn't need to have you guys have a heart attack. If David have one, it's okay, because then we still have the other hosts. So David and I are going to interview her on the 27th. So that'll be a fun show. And I'm not sure what we're supposed to call her, so I don't want to say her name. It'll be Mistress something, I'm sure. So I don't know if she uses her real first name or not. So we're not going to discuss that at all. But anyway, so yes, we will be interviewing a dominatrix. So it'll be very cool, and you can ask every question that you want. And if you guys, Morton, if you want to be on that show, we'll invite you, and you can come and ask her questions, and everyone can be enlightened. So I think it'll be interesting. But yeah, I think people will be fascinated with it because it is not as perverse, I think, as people think.
Hilda is a good
Hilda's
name.
House of Pain. Yeah, Hilda's House of Pain is a great thing.
Yeah, but that it's German, so she's
no,
Hilda.
the Nazis, of course. The Nazis, they got to be good for something.
Yeah.
Can't just go around killing people.
It'll be interesting because they changed the whole status of sex workers here in Holland quite a few years ago, and made them all so you could apply to be self-employed, which majority of them did.
Right.
A lot of the Dutch girls, anyway. To release themselves from any form of financial bondage then to a pimp or whatever.
Bondage,
and so they're registered.
Really?
Financial bondage, Stephen. You're an investment banker. You know exactly what that means.
I certainly do. So.
And so it's interesting because they all went self-employed, but they have a tax number. They pay their VAT, and it is a chosen profession for a lot of people. So
it is.
But I will say this about. Go ahead, Mort. No, go ahead.
Maybe it's one of the oldest professions.
No, my profession is the oldest. That's the second oldest. Without my
money
profession,
lending. He's talking about money lending.
Right. My profession's the oldest because without mine, the other doesn't happen. So I always joke I used to joke with clients and say, listen, when you meet with me, I'm the oldest profession. You're going to leave $1 billion on the desk, and you're going to leave, and that's the deal. So it's the same thing. You leave money on the dresser and you go. But what's interesting about BDSM, which is where the dominatrix thing plays, it's not all about sex. It's really just about a transfer of power, which I thought is there's a whole psychological thing to it, which I think is very interesting. So when people hear it, I think they go, oh my God. But I think if you really look into it, I think it's very fascinating. I've read books on it and I dabbled a little bit when I was single, and it's very, very interesting. And I think people hear a dominatrix or BDSM and they go, oh my God, and they don't know anything about it, because most people are stupid. They don't read a book. So they only know what they see on TikTok or like some porno movie, which is the furthest from what it is. So I think she coming on the show will be very interesting because I think she will display a lot of the myths. She also works with a young lady out of Poland. Hopefully she can come on as well so they both can talk about it. But yeah, they have an OnlyFans page. I was fascinated with the business side of it. I had an idea there's a business side to it, but there's a whole business side to it. And you'd be surprised who pays them. And I don't want to say torture, but to be, not even abused, but to be dominated by. Usually high-powered guys, judges, lawyers, bankers, whatever, because they're in control all day and they want to let loose. So it's very interesting. So I was fascinated when we were talking. I was like,
it's almost contradictory to most people's normal lives.
Correct. Basically, yes.
A lot of control freaks.
Yeah.
And,
so it's a much different thing. Yeah. So I think it'll be a good show. Hopefully everybody will come and watch and listen. If you're on the pod, you can listen on the podcast. You can watch it here on our YouTube channel. So yeah. So hopefully she can bring her friend from Poland. She'll be able to do an interview as well and go from there. Mort, we can send them to you. They can do it right in your office. Go ahead.
Yeah. The strange thing is, even if you are listening to the podcast, you can see her. It's that strong. No.
Yes, if you're listening to it on Spotify or Amazon or Apple or Google or wherever you get she'll pop right out and give you a spanking. So it's very important.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just wonder. Does she also do spankings on other women's?
I don't know. We can ask her though.
Yeah. It's a good thing.
I'm assuming, and I'm assuming and I don't know enough. I know enough to be dangerous, but I don't know enough to know anything. I'm assuming if you're a dominatrix and your client, you're agnostic to the sex of your client. I'm assuming if your client says whatever they are looking for, and that is your specialty, that's what you go do. I know from the little bit I do know that dominatrix all have a specialty. Some are like a
Okay.
generalist, and some have a specialty where they do this, and so it's a whole thing. I don't think it's like they just go, I know everything. I think some like certain things and others don't.
Yeah.
So, it's a question we can ask it. But yeah, so I thought it would be interesting just to let everybody know they can mark their calendars. And I'm sure we'll come up with a very funny title for the show in a good way. But yeah, it should be interesting just because I think it's a fascinating subject and people are afraid to talk about it. Yeah. The girl, listen, like I said, I gave it to the girls at Social Intercourse figuring that they would love that because it would just be something different. And all of it, they were like, "Oh no, we can't touch that." Like, "Oh, stop it!" So I said, "All right, David and I will do it." That's what you need. The two guys that are 17 billion years old to talk about dominatrix and sex. We should have the hot young chicks doing it. Yeah, what do I know? Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll probably just end up calling it bashing the bishop or something like that.
Bashing the bishop. I was just gonna poem it. I was just gonna do the poem that
Yeah, and I've got to do a link now to bashing the bishop because all those Brits will know exactly what that means. So I'm going to have this is a sporting bridge.
Okay.
To World Darts, which I read about this morning.
Seriously?
There's a guy. World Darts is big business, mate. Darts is big business, also in the US.
Let's find out.
And there's this young guy called Owen, and he's just qualified for the World Championships in the UK. And the
oh my God, there really is a World Dart Championship. Are you kidding?
There is.
My God,
it's mega money, and certainly for the online betting companies because it's instant action. Is he going to throw a top double? Is he going to go a 180? You can bet all through the competitions. It's mega. Anyway,
wait. So Sky Sports is covering this live.
Yeah.
Just so if you want to watch it, you can watch the whole tournament. Not that anybody would, or you can watch the whole tournament live.
They do.
I'm sure
they do.
On Sky Sports with the final night on Sunday from 8 p.m. on Sky Sports. So this coming Sunday, apparently, you can watch the whole thing, and then the new one, the Paddy Power World Darts Championship. Will be coming January 3rd. Do you know who
Paddy Power is?
Yeah, I know he's a betting company. I'm well aware of who they are. We did deals with them about 15 years ago. But in January 3rd of 2024, 96 players will compete for the Sid Walden Trophy and 2.5 million pounds, which is about $4.5 million US. So there you go.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it does exist. This darts competition.
It does.
I didn't make it up. And this young kid, I think he's 20. He's just qualified, and the World Darts competition people have said to them, "You have to now change your nickname."
Why was his nickname?
Because they all have nicknames, right?
Okay.
So all these dart guys, they're called this, they're called that, the snake or the whatever.
I got a snake.
Anyway, this particular.
Hey, David, what'd you do? What'd you do, David?
I just did that. I think
you got excited with your snake and you touched the show. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think my snake was trying to eat my mouse. I think that's a
problem. That's
anyway.
Stinky. Yeah.
Anyway, this particular gentleman called Owen is 20 years old, and he has his nickname is Master.
I like it already.
Master.
And is he a head baiter on a boat?
unfortunately, his surname is Bates.
I like that.
And
I don't know if you're telling the truth or not, but I like that. That's a
it is
long. That's,
is
is it?
100% true. So
All right,
the
hold on.
dance people have said, Mr. Bates, you need to change your nickname. Now you're part of the World Championship final. Owen Bates is his name.
I'm looking for him right now. Owen Bates must say goodbye to sexual. Yeah, there it is. 19 hours ago, Owen Bates
There you go.
recently qualified for the World Championship Darts, the PDC, the Paddy tournament. He now must change his name because his last name really is Bates, and he can't be called Master Bates. Oh my God, I love that. That is so great.
You
Apparently,
see,
the show's going to all be about sex. That's
no,
awesome.
not at all. Not at all. I think we, because as I said, the bridge to this particular piece that I added to the show today was through bashing of the bishop. And again, if you
I know that. Everybody knows what that means, David. We're good.
Okay, very good. So yeah, I that's kind of sprung out of me today. I made me chuckle. I thought, well, okay,
that's funny. Can we get Owen on the show? That would be awesome. Owen, if you're listening, you got to come on.
No, he's busy. He's busy darting, mate. Whatever they do.
For how long though? When's like to when? You can't dart every day. I don't care that he's a pro. It's a darting. Big deal. How busy can you be throwing darts?
Probably 8 hours a day training.
Good. Then he has an extra 16 hours. He can come hang out with us.
So, but there you go. Owen Bates, good luck to you, mate.
Yeah, good luck, Mr. Bates.
And fantastic, really, because obviously nobody would have known about him as this 20-year-old who obviously must be talented to have got to the final and is now world news.
Yeah, I was going to say because of his name, Owen Bates. Yeah. Everybody remember Owen Bates.
Yeah.
That's funny.
We're now supporter of. We are now officially. Well, I'm now officially a supporter of Master Bates.
Of course you are. Anything with the name Master or Bates is, of course, where you would be. So
bring this guy together with the dominatrix.
The dominatrix. Sure, there you go. Yeah. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Together. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. That's very good. All right. Well, we know now.
But after you have met this dominatrix, she will take over this channel because you will be dominated by her.
No. We've known each other a long time, and she will be the first one to tell you that I'm dominant. I'm dominant in business. I'm dominant inside in my personal. I'm just dominant 24/7. I have no submissive anything in my body. When I was at university, there was a girl who thought she was a dominatrix and tried to, and I laughed the whole time. I thought it was hysterical. I was like, seriously, this is she said, you try it. And I did it. And I was like, ooh, I like this. So yeah, no, I'm very dominant 24/7. There's no whatever. Now, there's certain things I don't care about. And girls I've dated.
Really?
Really? There's certain things I don't care about. And my wife knows this as well. When someone says, where do you want to go eat? I could give a rat's ass. Wherever you want to go. I'm not dominant about. I don't care. And I'd never go there. That's not happening. But no, I eat healthy. So, but I mean, I very much am very dominant inside my professional life and my personal. I am what I am, which is great. But so I could never have a dominatrix do that because I think I would laugh my ass off because I'd be like, seriously, that's all you got? It's like, I can't, to me, it's like, that's just too funny. It's like, it's not even worth my time. So, so for me, it's not, but I'm fascinated by the psychology of it. I'm fascinated by the Marquis de Sade side of it. Like if anybody knows anything about the Marquis de Sade, I'm sure you guys do, but half our audience may not even know who he is. But if you know who the Marquis de Sade is, if you read what he wrote and you read the books, and really it's all about mind. And a lot of women, if you meet them, they will say, I love a man who blah, blah, blah. They want men who make them think, that stimulate them or whatever. So it's the same, like it's the Marquis de Sade. Once you can control, I don't mean this in like, the Mooney way from the Koreans, right? Where once you control someone's mind and they find you fascinating and they enjoy you, then the world's the oyster. So whether you're dating someone, you're in business or you're married, whatever it might be, even in business, it's so much, they have to find you stimulating because if they don't want to talk to you. You know, like if and you need, that's why, like David knows, I'm a voracious reader. I read whether newspapers, books, whatever it is. So I know what's going on. So when I'm with a client, wherever in the world, and they talk about something, I at least have some knowledge of it. I may not know in depth, whatever, but at least I can talk about it on a cursory level. And they like that because now you're intriguing to them. It's like, he has a brain. I always hate when I'm in a meeting and someone says to one of the other bankers or to a client, hey, did you know about XYZ? And they're like, what? It's not on TikTok. It's not on Instagram. Right. You're a fucking idiot. That's why. Right. Read the Financial Times, The Economist, the Wall Street Journals, read something. And they don't. And then they wonder why people are like, all right. You know, where my meetings are good.
Thing is now, Stephen, you're now a world expert on darts, mate.
Well, now, sure, because who knew that? I knew who Patty. I knew who Patty was, though. We did something with them many years ago, so I knew who Patty was. And they just acquired somebody, or they got acquired like last year, if I'm not mistaken, or this year. There's a big acquisition that was done. So no, I know who they are, and they bet on everything, and that's awesome. But I think I watched darts once on ESPN. I just chuckled. It's kind of like watching bowling. When I was a kid, they had like Saturday morning ABC would have a bowling tournament. I'd be like, oh my god!
Used to be on ITV in the UK when I was a teenager. That was like a whole new world. 10-pin bowling, which I really loved. Yeah, but it's just one of those things.
And in Norway, all they have is how do you make a snowman. I mean, I've seen Frozen. I know what they do. They sing. They have a snowman that sings. I've seen the whole thing.
Curling. They do a lot of curling.
Do you do curling more? And do you guys?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Can I tell you? Out of all the Olympic sports,
we were very high on the Olympics and so on. And
right.
The Norwegian team once, they wear some hilarious suits with all kinds of colors, and in that specific sport, it was a no, of course.
Oh, okay.
But they later on, the skip, as is called, the captain, he told that we did this just to, again, as in life and in sales and everything, if you do something different, some people are set out. It's a psycho thing as well. Yeah.
Very cool. I like
you guys are big on ski jumping as well, which I used to watch on New Year's Day with my dear mother. For some strange reason or another, she loved ski jumping. So I've got
we had a break there.
You need it,
Eddie the Eagle. You remember him?
Yep, I remember Eddie the Eagle. Yep, that was awesome.
I'll tell you what, you need big cojones to do that. I'll tell you that's. It doesn't look anything, but if you see some of that body cam stuff, that is
dude. When we were in Russia doing a deal, they took us to where the Winter Olympics were, and they showed us that the ski slope. You need balls just to go up it, to jump it, because when you see the slope, I'm like, let me get this straight. I'm going to go up there with no pole. I'm going to put on these 2 pieces of wood, and I'm going to come down at like 60, 70, 80 kilometers, and then I'm going to fly however many meters, and land. And they're like, yes. I'm like, it's not happening. But I saw it.
Hopefully on your skis when you land.
Yes, because I've seen the one guy. You can land a whole bunch of it. But I will say something about curling. Every Winter Olympics, that is the only thing I watch, because to me, and I know it's a sport, and we may have a curling fan out there, or a couple of them, I think it's the funniest thing in the world, because they got the broom or the whisk or whatever they call it, and they're doing, and I know there's an art to it. I know Raul was telling us about there's a whole art and science to it, but to me, it's the funniest thing. It's almost like they're yelling at the stone what to do, and they're sweeping, and I just think it's hysterical. It's like shuffleboard on ice to me, and I think it's the funniest thing, and I love that, and I watch it every time.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, but so and you got a lot of ice, so yeah.
It's an old sport, I think.
Curling?
It's
yeah.
Yeah.
Coding stuff.
It was here since
because
the Ice Age. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. But then it was downhills.
Wow.
And
Since
you know,
since the Stone Age,
yeah.
actually, not the Ice Age.
Stone Age.
They had the idea in the Stone Age. The Ice Age came along. They're like, "Oh, we can finally use the stones for something." It worked out very well. So that's funny.
I was going to change the subject a little bit, and
Sure.
because that unfortunate accident for that ice hockey guy in Canada, that was quite bizarre.
Tell everybody what happened, David.
Oh, really? I mean, that was.
I think it's. Are you talking about the guy who got hit in the head with the skates and almost died or something? Is that the one?
The guy died. Yeah, I thought he got. Yeah, that was a very tragic story, and one which you don't hear about that often. I mean, we've seen sports related again. We're seeing an increasing number of young men literally collapsing on soccer fields, football fields,
right on the pitch.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
And I don't know if that's because they're training these boys too young, too quick. Too many supplements. No idea.
Yeah.
But
in Norway, I watch, or it could be Norway or Sweden. So more, you'll have to help me here. I watched a special on HBO.
All the same.
They talk funny language. I get it. But there was on Real Sports. They did a thing where when the kids are between an embryo. I think it's 13 or 14. When they play in sports, they don't play to win or lose. They play just to play so they learn the sport. And then when you get to a certain age, I think it's say 15, then you play to win or lose. But in the beginning, when you're learning the sport, they just teach you to play the sport. And they were saying, I think it was Norway. That's why Norway has the best hockey players, football players, because the kids learn the fundamentals. It's not winning or losing. It's like learn the sport, and then you can go play, which I thought was fascinating.
It used to be. It used to be like that because we have this kind of saying in Norway. I don't know how to translate it directly.
Well, say it in Norwegian, mate. That's good.
Yeah.
International
thing
show.
Is that it's you have to be in it before you can kind of do it. It's like doing things for fun,
right?
And suddenly you will be so good. And for example, in football, when I was young, believe it or not, I was 200 kilos less than I am now, and I played football. And if you lost 10-0, no problems.
Right.
Nobody was grumpy or in the young age.
Right.
Because you're in it to learn it.
Right.
You're in it to win it.
Yeah.
But see, they don't do that. And now, especially in America, we've got these.
They do that in Iceland as well. Exactly the same. Sorry, Steve. It's exactly the same philosophy. Yeah. They let the girls play with the boys. Soccer, football, and they have amazing results. You see where these Icelandic boys, many of them play all around the world. Yeah. And if you really want to watch one of the most fantastic soccer matches for the uneducated, you should watch the rerun. I think it was Iceland against Argentina. And if you want to watch a game where extremely small South American people were bouncing off 11 brick toilets, that's the game to watch.
Okay, very nice.
It was. We just sat and laughed a lot, obviously because we love the Argentinians.
John, that's for John. Yeah, okay.
No, it's not for John. Just in general. But so it's interesting to watch people like Messi, which I also played again. And that was one of those matches where they had what they called the Icelandic clap.
Okay.
Which
there's a shot for that,
the one that all costs. Yeah, you can go to the doctor.
Yeah.
The clap.
Okay. But the one above the head. But it would appear that it actually comes from a small Scottish football club originally, and not from Iceland. But Iceland made it internationally famous. So you have this sort of grunt that goes with it, and the Icelandic football supporters, of which half the island seems to empty, for a major competition. They're just amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's very
I had
cool.
a friend who I had a friend who
they
lives in Reykjavik, and he called me up and he said, "Well, actually, you can watch live traffic streams in Iceland."
Yeah.
And he called me up and he said, "You should watch this." He said, "We've actually got a traffic jam in Reykjavik."
Yeah.
And it lasted about 5 minutes, but that was news. So there you go.
Wow.
Strange nation.
Iceland, yeah, 6 people in the whole country. So I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, there's 60.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They had a population explosion.
Yeah, that was good. So I don't have quite a few Icelandic friends who've gone back now, but amazing people, really, really. Mostly very well educated, very switched on to the world around them.
Yeah.
So
and all the people from Iceland I met is very you can trust them as in the old world. You can handshake and they will they will never, they are so proudness.
It's a remarkable nation. But,
very nice.
there you go. A nation of survivors.
Almost like Norway. We have the world largest money fund, and now
sovereign wealth fund.
Yeah, and now we topped it extremely again. 17,000 million.
Trillion. You feel like 17 trillion.
Trillions.
If I'm not,
you
have real money. You're ahead of Saudi, not by much, and UAE and Kuwait and the rest of them. They're all trying to catch up to you right now.
Yeah, but we a lot of the Norwegians are saying, okay, we want the money out now, split it by 5 million. Come on,
right?
Let's get the money.
That's bad. That's bad. Well, I mean, listen, the sovereign wealth fund. I remember a few years ago they got rid of one of the guys running it and hired a new guy because he just didn't like his investment strategy. And I think your new guy is the one who's kicking butt. So it's very good. So
yeah, it is.
He's doing very good, but it's all oil money. Yesterday, the Saudi Arabia said that their profits as a country are up because of oil, because of the oil embargoes going on in the world. So Saudi's up, Norwegians up, UAE, Kuwait, Qatar, they're all Oman, all their sovereign wealth funds are making money because it's all oil, but they're all investing. Saudi especially. Saudi's buying their way into sports, and so is the UAE. They're all doing that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, sports, I remember, like when athletes, when I was a kid growing up, like if you played baseball or football or one of these things, like you played the season and in the off season, you had to have a job because you weren't making real money. And then all of a sudden, like in the late 60s, early 70s, these guys started to make $1 million. And then in the 80s, they would make tens of millions. Now they're making hundreds of millions. And I'm like, sports has come a long way. Like, so if your family owned whatever sporting team here, anywhere in the world, just say before 1980, you bought it for peanuts. And now they're all worth billions. So I'm like totally shocked. Like sports is like, boom. It's just it's unbelievable.
Talking of billions, because we spoke about it briefly off air, was the whole WeWork debacle.
WeWork, the office,
Chapter 11, I think, in the US.
They filed bankruptcy, but before they did that, they wrote a check to Goldman Sachs and a few of their investors before they filed. Yeah. I'm like, I don't think you're supposed to do that. So it'll be interesting to see what the bankruptcy court does with that.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
Yeah, because there was a guy I was listening to the guy this morning on the BBC, and he said, "Well, look, this was done in the 1950s. This whole concept, it didn't work then. So it's only because this guy was like trucking around the world, being super cool. Everybody thought it was a great idea."
Oh, the founder of WeWork,
Yeah, because I mean, it's a strange thing because he was explaining a little bit about it. He said because what's happening is that WeWork would go and has gone, I think we're in like 39 different countries,
right,
and done these mega deals with all these landlords, paid up front for the leasing of these properties, and then go back into the market and say, I've got 20, 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 units in this address, and try and rent it out.
Yeah.
So, so it's absolutely, if you just think about it, it's fraught with danger, isn't it? Because all that money and commitment you have to do up front, and then you get COVID.
But there's executive suite companies that do that, and they do it well. But the thing with WeWork is Adam Newman, I want to say his name was, is he was like, Squangili, like, Squanjali, right? Whatever the guy, like, he was like, look, and he's like, he's the guy behind the curtain, and everybody drank the Kool-Aid. So the problem there is that their numbers just didn't make sense. And then when SoftBank got involved, it really didn't make sense. I think you're true, COVID's hurt it, but there's other executive suite companies, where WeWork was valued at 10, 20 times because they were like this big tech play, which it's a real estate play. The other companies are still doing fine. They're valued at like 2 times, and it's perfect. And I think people just get caught. The problem is people get caught up in the hype. No one reads the numbers. No one actually looks at things. And they're just like, oh, really? And it's sort of like, it's like here. The crypto thing, that's Sam Blankman, whatever, from FTX, he got 114 years, right, for all the stuff he did. But if you look at like Singapore Sovereign Wealth Fund, they didn't do due diligence. They gave him $200 million. Like all these people throw money at people. If you look at Bernie Madoff, people were throwing money at him because their friends threw money at him. And there was, I think it was the guy who founded Home Depot, when they pitched him and they actually did due diligence, they said, there's something not right here. Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, you can't be doing this. And they didn't give him money. And they just were like, no. But he was the only one with a brain that actually did due diligence and said, explain to me how this works. And he couldn't. It's the same with
I find that disturbing as well for a company with a reputation like SoftBank, and how much money that particular Japanese gentleman has actually made.
Yeah.
He's made some
he made it all on Alibaba.
He's made a lot of money, being very shrewd in his investment, and then all of a sudden, has he been shammed then? I don't know.
I read, there was a book that came out last year, and I read it. It was fascinating to read about the whole process and it went through everything. And it was just reading it, you're just like, really? Like the guy from SoftBank was enamored with the guy from WeWork from day one, and I'm like, really? Like, I'm reading this and I'm like, and there's a company back in the 80s called Z-Best, and Z-Best was almost like WeWork, was like make-believe. And they were supposedly doing cleaning of building. And what they would do, and there's a book about it, they would go to a building that was either almost empty or just finished construction, and they'd pay off the security people. They'd bring the investment bankers there and go, we're cleaning this whole building. We're doing that. And they weren't doing anything. And everyone's like, oh, okay. And they blindly follow. Yes, Mort.
Yeah. I just have maybe I'm changing the subject, but
that's okay.
It's within the family, at least. How, in America, there's a lot of companies coming to Norway, coming to, the other neighbor countries in the Scandinavia with this MLM system, like Amway and so on. They are not succeeding in the small countries because the system, it's not enough people. But anyway, why are you going into the Amway bubble, and you're buying everything from this big catalog and even houses or whatever in MLM? Why are people doing that?
Because it's like Mary Kay Cosmetics, Amway, Shackley. We've all been around, and some of their products are halfway decent, and some are whatever. And you get somebody who knows a lot of people, and they're like, hey, you use whatever the detergent, use this detergent. It's better. It's healthier. So all of a sudden they have people buying, right? Then the people are like, well, I could sell to my friends. So it just becomes, for lack of a better term, a pyramid right? And that's
Well,
why
it is pyramid.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
and some of them are legit, and some of them aren't.
Yeah.
It's just that you
It
got to
is
be
legit.
leery of
It
it.
is legit. It's the
Yeah,
same
okay.
thing with the whole thing with the NFTs.
Well,
Right at the
NFTs,
beginning, you know.
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
That's crazy.
No, in the respect that if you were high enough in the pyramid, then you could
Oh
make
yeah,
money.
then you did great. Yeah, if you bought an NFT for $5 and
mm.
sold it for 50 million, then yeah, you were the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
But that would be more
Same
like a
with the
Bitcoin thing, though. If you got in at the very bottom
Yeah, same
level,
with the cryptos. Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
the same with this. If you got a lot of friends and
Yep.
people are going to buy the stuff and they push you up a notch,
a level,
then
right?
yeah, then your purchasing price is considerably less, and you can make a few bucks out of it.
My mom had a
But
friend.
if you want to lose friends,
Yeah,
you
do
start
that.
with you start with MLM, because
Right.
people get so tired every time. Oh no, don't use that detergent, or
Right.
you can do that, you can do that, and you have to have 100 people's name, and you have to bother them all the time to call them whenever you meet them. It's
Right.
MLM. It must be crazy doing this. It's like the dominatrix again, because other ones are saying what detergent you are going to use. What the fuck?
Right. My
Well,
mom
see,
had a
the thing
friend who
is,
did My mom had a friend who did Mary Kay while I was growing up a million years ago, and she was our neighbor. I don't know if my mom ever bought the cosmetic from her, but she had the pink Cadillac. She did that well at
Yeah,
Mary
yeah, I
Kay.
remember. Yeah,
She had the pink Cadillac, and I remember my mom telling me blah blah blah, and I was like a kid. I was like, oh okay. And as I grew older, I was like, that's an accomplishment because I think you had to do like $1 million in sales. And I mean, back then when I was growing up, $1 million was a lot of money. Now, of course, $1 million is like a weekend in Vegas.
yeah.
But it was very, very different. And I was like, as I got
Yeah.
older, I really appreciated the fact that she had it. And she got a
Well,
new Cadillac from them like almost every other year. She was like, the whole time she was our neighbor, she was killing it. So, but that was a different time though. That's when you would move into a neighborhood and you would have the welcoming committee, right? They'd come and they'd welcome you to the neighborhood. They'd give you whether it's the phone book, a basket, but they don't have that anymore. People move into a neighborhood and people don't even care.
They got a smack.
Well, yeah.
I think very very briefly. I think before we finish today, I mean, there's an expression in English that says "needs must when the devil drives," and we have the same thing here. Is that people are taking in packages, for DHL or for whatever, and now you're finding that local governments are now banning people from doing it from their homes, and they're making like literally 4 or 5 cents on a package because every day there's trucks coming through all these residential areas delivering parcels to one particular address where that person is, and I've been around a few times and picked up stuff. There was one place in particular, I think it was from DHL, which we know stands for drop it, hide it, lose it, but that's another story. But she opened the door and the whole hallway and the first room in the house was full with boxes.
Oh wow!
So people have to do what they have to do to make a few shekels. And it's the same.
Well, until we have a global universal income where everybody makes $1 million a year, then the governments need to basically stick their business and keep out of everyone else's, because unless you're going to support the people, if you don't give them health care, you don't support them, you don't do this, you're going to have a revolution. And I don't think you're really ready for 8 billion people to get pissed off because you say the 100 million billionaires that are around with all the millionaires, they're going to be like, oh, it's terrible. It's the other 7.9 billion that are going to be like, we don't really care. So when 7 billion people want to take a picnic, you're not stopping them. So the governments need to like wake up, smell the roses, and either help your people or let them make money legally and legitimately. But help them do that. Don't keep trying to tell them no, because you're going to have a bigger problem down the road.
The thing about it is, of course, that they can't stop people from being self-employed and being an arrival center for packages in the neighborhood. They can't do that. But what they do then is they say, they then slap another order on you, public service order that says, oh, too many trucks coming to your house. Yeah, your neighbours are complaining. They can't park their car. You know, so they put a whole lot of other, you know, spokes into your proverbial wheel. So
I got the proverbial wheel right here.
Normal people, I think normal people want to be dominated. They want to be dominated and to be controlled.
Yeah, they're sheep.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Normal people are sheep, Morten. That's what I always tell people. People are sheep. They will follow anybody.
Why? We've been speaking about this many times, but why don't they have their own will, their own, you know,
well, Morten,
wait.
Sorry, you don't have your own will, and nor does Stephen, because I am going to close the show.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. The merch button is below. There you go. Morten, it's always a pleasure. We'll see you next Saturday morning. Everybody, don't forget to watch. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave your comments. If you want to be a guest on the show because you think you have something of value and you have the balls to show up, let us know. We'll put you on. And if you're a dominatrix and you want to come on the show, they give Morten a spanking. We're here for that as well. So there you go.
And any gimps, of course, always welcome. Welcome.
There you go.
Gimp.
There you go.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.